What's up, Lions Nation, and welcome to the Fourth and Whatever podcast, where our mission is to provide you with the most up-to-date news surrounding the Detroit Lions organization and keeping the roar and store in the Motor City and around the globe. I'm your host, Ryan, and if it's fourth down, it's whatever.
Fields with Hutchinson coming. That ball is out. Darnell Wright kicks it in back of the end zone. 2 points for Detroit with 21 seconds left. And Hutchinson boots it out of there.
Hi, guys. Glad to have you back for another episode of Fourth and Whatever. A lot of exciting things happening around the NFL today, especially in the NFC North, and a couple moves being made right in Detroit. So we're going to go ahead and dive into what this looks like for the Lions. And what I can say most importantly is that the black and blue division, it's back, baby. It's back in full force. For the last 2 decades, really, it's been the green and yellow division, having to go up against Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers. It is what it is. But Detroit's competition certainly is not dwindling within this division. I think that Chicago, Green Bay, and Minnesota are all getting better. Minnesota made some interesting moves. One kind of expected with releasing Kirk Cousins, so he's no longer a part of the NFC North. It'll be exciting to see what Minnesota does for a quarterback, but they shipped him off to Atlanta, and then the NFC North welcomes back DeAndre Swift. Lions will be facing him twice a year as he's now going to be playing for the Chicago Bears. One of the most important things, though, that happened was Detroit. They addressed the secondary. And thank God, because as we mentioned in previous episodes, this was really the main focus for the Lions this offseason that's going to help get them over the hump and hopefully to a Super Bowl. That is the goal. So what we're going to do is just kind of kick off, taking a look at the newest acquisition for the Lions roster in Carlton Davis. Now, heading into free agency, I don't think that Carlton Davis was on anybody's radar for the Detroit Lions. It certainly surprised to me, but I was pretty excited when I saw that the Lions had made a trade to acquire Carlton Davis. He's not a guy out there with a lot of interceptions, and I know you're probably getting a lot of eye rolls on that, but what Lions fans really need to be excited about is his physical play style. He's 6'1", 205 pounds, and he makes receivers really have to work for it. And more often than not, they're not coming down with it. Davis is actually second in the NFL when it comes to pass breakups. He has 60 from 2019 to 2022, trailing only behind James Bradbury. And he's got, again, the experience that the Lions need. He's been to a Super Bowl. He's won a Super Bowl. He knows how to play. He plays very smart. And I think that this is actually somebody who could maybe be with the Lions for a handful of years. I mean, he's still young. He's 27 years old. And he's just played very sound, efficient football. He's yet to play a full season in the NFL, so I would not be surprised if the Lions continue to look at the cornerback position in the draft. But right now, we do have a player who can come in and cover those number one wide receivers and force these quarterbacks to hold on to the ball for just a split second longer so that the Lions can hopefully capitalize on that aggressive pass rush and start acquiring some more sacks that we saw a lack of consistency in last year, which is going to bring me to our next player in Marcus Davenport, who we acquired out of Minnesota. Now, coming out of the 2018 draft, the same draft class as Carlton Davis, there was a lot of hope for Marcus Davenport as he was taken 14th overall by Sean Payton and the New Orleans Saints, the same New Orleans Saints that Dan Campbell and Aaron Glenn were a part of. So they do have a lot of familiarity with this guy. He's only 27 years old and very productive. He was taken 14th overall for a reason. When he's on the field, I mean, he just balls out. He really does. Last year, he only played 4 games with the Minnesota Vikings, but in that time did acquire 2 sacks. His career high for sacks in a single season was in 2021. And he only played 11 games, but still came away with 9 sacks. So when he is on the field, he is very productive. I don't expect that he's going to be like a franchise type player. You know, you're not going to see his face on the side of Ford Field, but he will be disruptive if he can at least be available. And maybe luck will go his way and he'll be able to complete a full season. Yeah, that's kind of a tall order anymore with 17 games in a season. You're going to expect players to get injured, hampered up a little bit, but I really do like the depth and I really like Marcus Davenport's potential. I think he has a very high ceiling, and maybe this will just be the move that he needs to maybe catch that break and just have a really productive year. I've got really high hopes for this, regardless of his lack of consistency and availability in previous seasons. I do like this acquisition quite a bit. So obviously, there's a lot unfolding with free agency, and it's just day one. We're going to see a lot more continue to unfold the rest of the week, and I'm going to do my best to keep everybody here updated and informed as soon as possible. Some names to be on the lookout for are CJ Gardner-Johnson, who the Lions have yet to re-sign. He's also yet to re-sign with anyone as well. Unfortunately, he was out most of the season last year, and the best ability is availability. So those are things that Brad Holmes, Dan Campbell are going to have to kind of factor in, think about the pros and cons of having him on this Lions roster. He did have an interception in the playoffs, which was huge, but he also had a really crappy penalty right after Malcolm Rodriguez got that interception in the playoffs, and he had a shitty hit on Deebo Samuel, which was unnecessary. So I love the guy's enthusiasm. I love his trash talking, but those are things that you got to play smart, sound football, and we'll see what Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes do with CJ, if they bring him back or not, or if we look a different direction as far as the safety position goes. Another name to keep an eye out for is going to be Arik Armstead, the 6'7" defensive tackle out of San Francisco. Apparently, San Francisco asked him to restructure his contract and take a pay cut, and he opted not to do so. So he could be available. And maybe I'm living in fantasy land, but I am picturing Aiden Hutchinson, Ali McNeil, and Arik Armstead all on the same defensive front, and how scary that could be for this Lions defense. Could be a night and day difference from what we saw last year. So a lot going on. We're going to continue to monitor everything as it unfolds and get the information out to you as quickly as possible. If you have any questions, suggestions, go ahead. Feel free to leave a comment. Until next time, we'll see you on another episode of Fourth and Whatever.